Well, sometimes President Biden just cannot stop himself. During a speech today about the economy, he told at least two lies that have already been debunked. Daniel Dale is back after a good stretch with another fact check. Daniel, so we know the president loves the trains. He loves Amtrak. He's told this same story several times about a conversation that he claims that he had during his vice presidency with an Amtrak conductor named Angelo Negri. Let's listen to it.
And so I'm getting on a train to go home and see my mom, who was sick and in hospice at my home. And this guy, I won't mention his name because I will get him in trouble, but one of the senior guys in Amtrak who I rode with all the time comes up and goes, "Joey, baby," grabs my cheek. I said, "What's the matter, Angie?" He said, I read this thing about over 1 million miles on Air Force planes. He said, "Hell, you know how many miles you travel on Amtrak?" I said, "No, Angie, I don't know." He said, "We just had a retirement dinner up in Newark." He said, "You travel average 117 days a year, round trip, 300 miles a day. 36 years, that's 1,285,000 miles. I don't want to hear any more about the Air Force." True story. I swear to God.
True story. All right, what is the truth?
It's not a true story, and it was false in 2021 when I did a fact check pointing out it was false then. President Biden has repeated it over and over since. So it's false in two ways. First of all, this conversation about the 1 million miles flying milestone could not have happened because Mr. Negri, who was an Amtrak conductor, was deceased at the time it would have had to occur. He passed that milestone, the vice president, in September 2015. Mr. Negri died more than a year prior in 2014. The second false element, Victor, is the president said that his mother was sick at the time in hospice in his home. In fact, she had died more than 5 years prior to him reaching that 1 million miles flown milestone on Air Force Two. So two false elements. Now, I did speak in 2021 to Mr. Negri's stepdaughter. She said they were indeed friends. Her late stepfather adored Mr. Biden, spoke of him often. So there was a relationship there. But look, I've counted at least 9 times as president that Biden has told this story about his friend that is just inaccurate. So it's probably time he retires it.
Yeah, it seems like a favorite of his. The president also repeated a version of a family story he told in April about his grandfather's death being just days before his own birth at the same hospital. Let's listen to that.
By the way, my grandpa Biden, who died very young, died in the hospital I was born in 6 days before I was there, before I was born.
This is an economy speech, by the way. I just want people to know why the president is there. What can you tell us about this?
So this one is also false in two ways. His late grandfather, who was an oil executive, Joseph H. Biden, died more than a year before he was born. So not a few days or a couple weeks, as he's previously said, and in a different hospital. His late grandfather died in Baltimore. President Biden was famously born in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I have no idea what the point of this false claim is. Sometimes people get false stories from family members, but it's the second time he's done it. He was fact-checked the first time, so again, it's time he stops.
Yeah, retire that one too. Daniel Dale, thank you. Good work tonight. The Big Short investor making another bold